have a question about the formal meals. What's the purpose of it?
What's the purpose?
The purpose of formal meals.
A formal meal. Two things. Very simple and organized. You know, everybody does the same thing. Begin together, end together. And the main purpose is see your own karma with food. You can see your karma with food. Likes and dislikes, you know. Whether you're, you know, when I was a kid, parents would always say things like, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Like you want a lot, but then you only eat a little. Well, you get to see that. It's like, oh shit, I took too much, but I gotta finish it all. You know, it's like, what are you gonna do? So, and some people eat real fast, some people eat super slow. Unfortunately, the Sunim style tends to be a little fast. But the main thing is you see your own karma. Very clearly. Likes and dislikes, opinions, and your relationship with food. I used to have this thing. I was a very thin kid and I could eat anything. But when I started practicing, I noticed during retreats, because, you know, what is it? Food, sleep, sex, money, fame. You're not getting money, you're not getting fame, you're not getting sex. You don't get as much sleep as you want. All that's left is food. And sometimes you become a little food crazy. Now here, we have a lot of food available. But when we were first doing retreats in America, at a 3-month retreat, there was only breakfast and lunch. That was it. There was nothing to drink between meals except water. I don't know, we were into this stuff, you know. And eventually, after a few years, they decided one year they better serve some orange juice at dinner time. And then it got to be orange juice and crackers. And then it got to be leftover soup and bread. I don't know what they do now. But when I did the retreats, there were only 2 meals, you know. And I had some really strong experiences about that. I remember the first 3 weeks I did, I spent the whole first week thinking about what I was going to eat after retreat. And somehow it involved Dunkin' Donuts a lot, which is ridiculous, but muffins at least, you know, somewhat nutritious. Then at that time I was a lay person, and so I was devoting myself to the Zen Center, and I'd thrown away any career, and I was already in my upper 20s. And so sometimes I think, well, what kind of career do I want? Because I had thrown away my plans back when I was 25 for further education and profession and so forth. And so the second week, it was perfect. Both those things came together. I started thinking all the time that I'd open a restaurant and sell vegetarian food. So now I've got my career set and I can think about food too. So that was going on the whole second week. And then the third week, I was so damn hungry, even though we were getting 2 meals a day, you know? And the retreat place was part of the Zen Center building, but it had a separate entrance, and we didn't go to the kitchen. The food got sent up, and then we'd send it back down when we were done. But right underneath the meditation area was a room where a couple who lived in the Zen Center and practiced, but they worked every day, lived, and they had a baby. And so one night, we're sitting like from 7 to 9, or I think it was 7 to 9:30, and I can hear the baby downstairs. And the baby's going, ninny, 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 ninny. And suddenly it's quiet. And I knew when the baby wanted his mom's breast, he'd say ninny. That's what he called it. He'd go ninny, ninny, ninny. And I'm sitting there and I can hear him. I'm trying to do mantra. And he's suddenly quiet. And I'm thinking, that kid's getting to eat, and I'm not getting anything. And I'm hungry, and the carpet's blue. And for a moment, I got just like this, you know. I'm hungry, I'm not getting anything, and the carpet's blue. It was very simple. Then my mind relaxed, and I thought, okay, hunger practicing. But I can't complain, really. I mean, I'm hungry, doesn't feel good. I could walk out of this retreat, go down to the kitchen, get something. I'd get in trouble, but I could walk down the road to a pizza place, get kicked out of the retreat, but I could get food. There's people all over the world that are hungry and they can't get food. It was really clear to me. So, okay, so I have a little hunger practicing this week. You know, so shows us our karma with food. You know, you can see it. So I used to get into this thing after that where I'd eat too much, and then, you know, it's horrible to eat too much and try and sit, so then I decided I'm fasting for a week. And I was for a couple of years. And then Sinwonsa made me the head monk at a retreat in Sinwonsa, the other side of this mountain. I think I was a monk by that time. Yes. And I realized I have to be steady. So what can I do about food? I've got to stop doing that, you know, up, down, up, down. So I took the second bowl and I filled it up with either a cup or a cup and a half of water. I don't remember. And I took a nail and I drew a line inside so that there's up to, say, a cup and a half of liquid. And then every day when the food was served, I'd move it into that bowl up to that line. Everything I'd put in the same bowl up to that line. And even when things came I liked, I'd think, oh, I can take more of that. I just went to the same line for 270 meals. And after that, food wasn't a big deal to me. But it took a few years to deal with that. That's the purpose. See if you have, some people don't have much karma with food. You know, it's not such a big deal. A lot of people have a lot of karma and a lot of hard time. We had a woman who wasn't eating at the meals. So everybody thought, oh, cool, she's kind of fasting. Then one day the kitchen master found her in the kitchen at midnight making like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and apparently she was doing that every night. And I don't think it was just that at midnight she happened to get hungry. It's like, I understand that mind. I can get something for myself. You know, it's like, it's quite a powerful mind, which maybe you pick up when you're a kid. Like, I can't get for myself. So it wasn't even like she didn't want the food that was given to her. She wanted to be able to go and get it herself. And so you see something, you learn something. For a while, we locked the kitchen in the storeroom to try and get people to follow the situation. Now we're kind of more relaxed about it. So you came at a good time. And we have tea breaks. Tea break used to be the most dangerous time at Sinwonsa. One time, the second day of the retreat, the older sister of one of the monks came, Korean, and gave 7 cakes. And we had a tea break, and so the outside of the building was a porch, and it was cold, so we put the cakes out there. We served one, and we ate the whole thing. The next day, we served another, and we ate the whole thing. And I remember there was a Mexican guy, and he had practiced Japanese in Japanese temples, and he was very upset about this, and these cakes and things. And when Dae Bong Sunim, this old monk who was the Josho there, came, he asked Bong Sunim. I mean, this stuff doesn't help our practice and so forth. And Bong Sunim was really good. He said, oh, I understand your mind. Yeah. But you have to understand that people in this area are a little poor. And they give things to the group because they want to help and you support you. So it's very important we make full use of what they give us. So they hope you eat this food, get some energy, and practice strongly. You know, so that's very important. We don't waste anything that's given by people to the temple. So he said, but if you don't want to eat it, it's okay. You don't eat it. But this guy couldn't deal with that, and a day or two later, he left. So anyway, we finished the 7 cakes, and everybody's like, you know, because it's so hard to sit when you've eaten this crap, you know. And then a few weeks later, somebody gives the temple a cake. So they send it over to the Zen hall with this note that says, you finished the other cake so well that the monks in the temple decided to give you this one. And we were like, oh no. So I used to joke that, you know, tea break will kill your retreat if you're not careful. But here it's pretty mild. It's mostly fruit and a little bit, and I don't see anybody having a problem. So that's the main purpose of it. And, you know, when you eat with your parents, there's a form, right? When you're growing up, there's a little bit of form. It's not as well defined. But, you know, you don't take the food and put it on the table and eat it. You know, there's certain, every family does their own thing, however they do it. In Korea, you know, everybody gets their rice and their soup, but all the other stuff is on the table and people reach and take what they want. In Hong Kong, they do that, but you can't use the chopsticks you put in your mouth to pick up any group thing. So they have separate, right? I don't know mainland China, but yeah, in Hong Kong, they have separate chopsticks for the public plate. Then you put it in your bowl, then your chopsticks you eat. But in Korea, I don't know. The family, you know, it's like live together, die together. So they just eat straight out of the thing. Put your spoon in the common soup bowl and drink. No problem. Personally, I like that, you know. It's like, yeah, let's get sick and die together. Okay, you know. In America, my mother put our food on the plate and bring it in front of you. There was nothing on the table that was for everybody. So everybody has some style and form. Seung, people used to ask him, what's the difference between Japanese Zen and Korean Zen? Then he'd say, in Korea, people eat with chopsticks and spoon. In Japan, only chopsticks. In America, knife and fork. And in India, just with their hands. He'd say, technique is different, but direction is the same. Food into your stomach. And then he'd say, just like that. That's the difference between Japanese and Korean Zen. Technique is different, direction's the same. So if our direction is clear, any technique will help you. Maybe in the bathroom, if the toilet seat falls down and goes, you'll get enlightened.